What's going on, everybody? Graydon here with the LPM podcast. Got another good episode for you today, talking to a character collector. We're going to talk today about Dr. Doom. What's going on, buddy?
The one and only. What's going on, man?
You want to
All good?
introduce yourself to the crowd?
Yeah, man. My name is Sergio. A lot of people know me as Monster in the Iron Mask. Also known as Crypto Collectibles back in the day. But yeah, Dr. Doom collector for quite a while now. Been in the Marvel hobby for online IG for probably 3-4 years ongoing. And I collect cards. I collect comics, man. Mainly internationals. Find me at Monster in the Iron Mask on IG. And if you have any questions, also, hey, check out the Hobby Hangout. I know Graydon's part of the Hobby Hangout. Shout out Nathan. I don't know how I was chosen to be a moderator for the Hobby Hangout. That was kind of random, but hey, I'll take it. Shout out Nate. Shout out Matt Fuller. Check us out over there too at the Hobby Hangout on Facebook. We show out some cool stuff. A lot of OA, right? Actually, surprisingly, a lot of art.
One of the things I like about the Hobby Hangout is it's a lot looser on. I find it more enjoyable in a way because every time I want to do something on that, I don't have to think about a huge list of rules.
Yeah.
There's a lot more content that can be added to it that's just for people to absorb.
Yeah. I enjoy it, man. I hop on there, I see people post, and a lot of OA, a lot of sketches and stuff like that. So it's interesting because it's some of these people have they have IG handles, right? They have they're out there. So some of these guys are in the Hobby Hangout, obviously, but some of these things that they show you never see, right? Some of the things that I've seen on the Hobby Hangout, I've never. Some of the names I don't even know who they are. I know they collect Strange, but I don't know what their handle is or what their IG handle is, and it's interesting, man. Some people have obscure stuff. I've seen again a lot of art, a lot of paintings. Shout out Izzy, Isidore. Izzy's the king of these paintings, man. Listen, back then when I met Izzy 3-4 years ago at this point, Izzy was posting some of these same commissions and drawings, man. This is crazy. He's been doing it for a long time.
So you're also a part of the podcast. Can you tell us a bit about your guys' podcast?
Yeah, man. Shout out to the homie Elusive. Shout out to Doom, Doom Card. If you guys don't know, check them out. We are the NSDC, non-sports and diecast. But we talk about a little bit of everything. We talk about mainly Marvel. We don't really, get in too much into DC, but hey, we like the Batman. We support the Batman.
Right on. And that's on YouTube. On the YouTube channel.
Yeah. It's not on Elusive Collectibles channel.
Cool.
So we'll maybe we could put a link or something at the bottom. But shout out to the boys. If you haven't checked them out, definitely check us out. We we're let's call it the other side of the coin. You know what I mean? In the Marvel hobby.
There you go. So in the description of this video, I'll drop some links of where you can find these guys, where you can find Sergio. If you make it over there, make sure that you like and subscribe their videos. Subscriptions help. Get on that. So today we're going to be talking about Dr. Doom, character collecting Dr. Doom. Doom is a monster character, Victor Von Doom. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of it. Why don't you talk to us about what makes up your collection? So what are you collecting?
All right. So, when I first started collecting, it kind of started with comics, and I was picking up random, X-Men covers and stuff like that. I've always been people always talk about the nostalgia, right? Where does it start? Where does it come from? Where do you like certain things? My nostalgia is actually X-Men and Spider-Man animated. For me, hey, 36-year-old male, I was watching the Fox Kids and Spider-Man animated and X-Men for me are the two Marvel ones that did it for me. But I don't collect X-Men like that. I have a couple things nothing too crazy. But I don't have any nostalgia to Dr. Doom. I think it's more of just the character, the depiction of him, the robe, the mask, he's the bad guy, and everyone knows it, right?
He's the ultimate villain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I want to keep it humble. I don't want to say it because then people are he's pumping his character. Yeah, I guess maybe.
Well,
but no,
a little bit.
What's that?
Here you're allowed to pump your character a little bit when it's Doctor Doom. You know,
Okay. All right. Well, let's pump it up then. He's the baddest villain of all time. He's fought all the characters, right? He's even fought other villains, right? Like he's ripped Thanos' spine out. You know, like if you know, you know. But he's just like he's Marvel's bad guy. And but besides that, like I think it really came down to I'm a big hip hop guy. You know, like I like music. I'm into different genres of music as well, but I'm a big fan of MF Doom.
rest in
Uh,
peace.
you know, R.I.P. And guys, listen, I'll say it now. Sorry for posting all like the Doctor Doom, you know, songs in repeat, but it's just part of my channel, and it always has been. It's always been Doctor Doom, MF Doom. Like, you know, I post a little bit of Sade. You know, I keep it fun, and yeah, man. Like, you know, I love MF Doom, Marvel. You know, Doctor Doom, the Mask. You know, they're two peas in a pod. So
Totally. And you know,
I
you've
would say
curated
from
a
there.
really nice Instagram. Your Instagram is put together really well, and the thoughtfulness of a soundtrack to go with it. I love that. You see a lot of Instagrams that are a bit thrown together, and when you're character collecting, Instagram is a great way to curate something on the phone, right?
100%, man. Like, you know, you know, we were talking before we got on here, and it's just like I may have something sitting in like, you know, sitting in a box or sitting in a binder, you know, waiting to pull something out and take a photo. But like, you know, if it's not for me, like if the 3 photo trio is not like set and like if things don't make sense or have a correlation, I'll just wait. You know, like I'll wait for like another copy of something else, or I'll wait for something else to come in that like matches like the scene. And yeah, like, you know, I mean, I have a lot of fun with my IG. You know, I don't
Heck yeah.
post a lot, but I feel like I take my time with it, and like, you know, I just like I choose like what I post, and you know, just try to take like a nice photo, take my time. It's enjoyable, man. Like it's relaxing, and you know, honestly, I don't really care who likes it and who doesn't. You know, I'm sure that people come across the page and probably like take a look and like, you know, write out, but I don't do the IG for the likes. I do it for more of like the show. You know, like
Right on.
just, you know, showing the collection. I think it's important. Like, you know, there's a lot out there that people don't really show. A lot out there that people don't even really see too often.
Right.
And you know, when we talk about like the Marvel hobby with like cards, you know, like you know, we talked about this as well with the comics. There's a lot of stuff going on in the comic world too. Like, you know, the foreign thing's been going on for a long time. Well, yeah, of course, it's always been happening. Now it's like a thing, right? Like I know, like, what was it? Conic? What is it? Comic Link or something like that? Like the guy from Comic Link or Comic Connect was talking about like the foreigns the other day. And you know, it sucks for me because I'm like, shit, I'm trying to pick up more foreigns, you know, but you know, not now it's out there. I guess the cat's out of the bag. But yeah, man, you know, the foreign comics is my jam. I've been collecting foreign comics for a few years now, and you know, there's a lot of like Doctor Doom covers, and then there's a lot of Doctor Doom appearances in story, in different books. So I just pick up like a little random like here and there. Maybe there's certain covers that I like, and I pick up like, you know, certain copies of those books in different languages. And that's just been my jam.
I think
I
that's
did
really
cards for a while.
cool way to collect.
Yeah, man, I did cards for a while, and you know, I just came to like a self like agreement where it's like, hey, like my collection is gonna end here. I'm not gonna buy, you know, if someone gives me a gift or something, whatever, hey, of course I appreciate it, but I don't collect anything past like this year. You know, like I have a, you know, a couple cool Doom cards. I mean, you know, PMGs, diamonds. You know, I know it's a little deep, right, to explain what some of what these are, but like, you know, cards out of 10, cards out of 100, like, you know, I have a couple like, you know, numbered cards, a couple rare Doom items, and it's fun to have, you know, but I think I just kind of like maybe I'll outgrown the card thing, and you know, I just do the comics now.
So on that topic, do you want to let us know who's your favorite artist's rendition of Doctor Doom, whether it be on card or whether it be on comic?
No, listen, hands down, you know, King Kirby, you know, R.I.P. King Kirby, man. You know, we have sometimes these conversations like, you know, Johnny Bravo, shout out Johnny Bravo. If you guys don't know, check him out, Johnny Bravo 808. You know, he's part of the NS crew for sure. And you know, he was sketching Doctor Doom the other day, and he was showing us a couple photos, and he's like, man, like, you know, I'm trying to like, you know, really get the like the Doctor Doom face, and I'm just like, listen, man, this may sound really stupid, but as simple as it looks, right? Because it's actually not even a face. You would think it's easier to do. it's not easy to draw Doom, man. You know, like
Yeah,
there's a lot of even big artists out there, right? Modern artists, like, you know, like mid range, like, you know, high range artists that do Dr. Doom, and you know, sometimes it's not the greatest, you know, it's not the greatest image.
it's true.
Uh, and
Who's an artist that you don't think gets enough clout for drawing Doctor Doom? Kirby's a big name. Everybody knows Jack Kirby. So you
yeah,
know, who's somebody that you wanna mention that people might not know about?
I'm gonna keep it okay. I'll say that I think John Byrne doesn't get enough clout for his Doctor Doom depiction. It's obviously not, it's not Kirby, right? Like it's nowhere near Kirby, but I think he does them really well. I think the, you know, some of those Fantastic Four books like in like the '80s where it's like, you know, John Byrne Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
John Byrne was killing it, man. You know, he you know, shout out to him. I was actually on his website the other day, and you know, I was reading his old posts, and you know, if you guys haven't been, he has a website out there, because I was like trying to find out, like, hey man, like, you know, am I ever gonna catch this guy like at a con? You know, am I ever gonna get like an auto of like, you know, a certain book that I love, like with the John Byrne auto? And the answer is probably no. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He posts on there publicly that he is done with the cons. Like he's like, hey, like he posted something like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. He's like, I'm done with it. Like I did this show, doesn't mean I'm back on circuit, whatever. Like he's just done, bro. Like
Exactly.
I don't expect like a CGC, like, you know, signature.
Yeah.
I just don't, you know,
Let's
I don't
let's
see it
talk
happening.
let's talk about cons for a minute. So your character collecting, you've mentioned before that you like to attend cons. What are some items you're bringing to a Comic-Con in hopes of getting signed?
So my last Comic Con session was a bunch of foreign books.
Cool.
I did a little trio, which I'm not gonna say what the trio is. You know, when it gets back, we'll, you know, I'll do a reveal on it. But I again, like I told you before, I don't know if it's the first. I'm assuming that it is, but I'm not too sure. But I did it just for the sake of, like, you know, a cover that I love, and one of the covers I love twice, if that makes any sense.
And so, are you ever bringing cards with you to get signed at these cons, or are you mainly sticking to comics?
So I brought some cards, and actually I have them nearby somewhere. But I brought the Fleer, Gambit, and Rogue, where they're kissing, right? X-Men 25.
Nice.
I bought that card for Kubert because usually he's there, and I saw his name announced for OAX, but he was not at the MegaCon, so he didn't have a booth, which was unfortunate. But I did get. You remember the X-Men with like the little hologram cards, like the foil cards on the X-Men comics?
Oh yeah.
I got. Listen, I bought 3 of those at the last MegaCon, not this year, but the year before, and I actually hit like 2 9.6s and a 9.4, and you know, whatever. I ended up selling them, but it was fun just to, like, hey, like, you know, talk to Adam and Andy, and, like, you know, get some autos. And yeah, man, like I think the cons are cool. I think the cons are a little bit underrated. Uh, I think the cons, I mean, you know, you have a lot of people buying like different things. They're buying comics, they're buying, like, you know, these new box rips, but like, man, you have a chance to meet some of the artists that created some of the original artwork that you guys love. Like
Yeah.
you're over here buying X-Men, Avengers, and, you know, all this stuff. And you can go, you know, pick up one of those books of your favorite covers, and get it signed, and, you know, have it slabbed or not. Like, hey, it's up to you. Maybe you don't want to have it slabbed. Like, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But man, like, you know, I just feel like I feel like they don't get enough love. You know what I mean? Like, even you know,
What's your favorite con?
I just go to MegaCon. Like
Just
cons for me as a whole is a new thing for me. It's just been like ever since I did it the first time. Now it's like something to look forward to every year, and it's something that, like, you know, I'm definitely like gonna put some time towards. Like, hey, I'm gonna go here. You know, I'm mapping out like my year with, like, hey, I'm gonna pick this up. You know, maybe I can get this signed next year by, you know, this, or add an auto to that. Like, so yeah, it's I'm in a place, like, collecting wise, where I want to get some of these things like signed. I have a lot of raw stuff, a lot of raw cards, a lot of raw comics. And now that, like, the collection's kind of like built a little bit, you know, like, I want to start chipping away at like getting some of the stuff graded. Not for financial, because you're not buying this stuff off of me, like, period. It's just a personal, like, you know, it's for me, and it's just my part of my collection, part of something that I'm going to PC. And you know, that to me is like that's my wave. Like, you know, people are still ripping boxes, and guess what? That's fun too. Like Masterpiece is fun, Fleer, you know, Fleer 89 is fun, but my mind just set like on something else. You know what I mean? Like I want to grade some of these books, and I want to get some of these artists that I love, right? Because you guys are buying the images with the retros and all this other stuff. These guys are still kicking, man. Go get that auto. Like, you know, it's been kind of like a recent thing where people are getting the auto on like, you know, base cards, and now they're getting even autos on numbered cards, which is like, hey, if that's what you want to do with your collection, like, hey, go for it, you know.
Right on.
But I feel like people don't show they don't show up enough for the artists, you know.
Hmm.
Uh,
Have you commissioned anything? Like, are you a sketch card guy, an AP guy, or sketch
listen,
comic covers or anything?
I'm not even like a Marvel like pack pulled sketch guy. Like I don't even collect like, you know, Marvel. Like I have the Marvel sketches that I do have been like gifts.
Yeah.
I personally don't collect sketches. I have an appreciation for them. Obviously, like, hey, like there's some amazing you know, sketches and sketch artists out there for sure. It's just not my jam. I don't, you know, because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too. You know,
Yeah.
like I again, like I said, like I could pretty much like say like I'm done with cards unless something like really comes out that's like, you know, nice.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like but even when I collected cards, sketches were like not like a thing for me. You know.
So you have a podcast with a group of fellows that are also really into Doctor Doom. So you guys have a little community amongst yourselves of Doom collectors. Has that really helped in building your collection, having people to kind of do it together with?
Well, let's make a quick correction because there's only two Doom collectors in the NSDC.
Oh,
The other
gotcha.
one, the other one thinks he collects Doom, but he doesn't. Like he has Doom, but he doesn't collect Doom. If that makes any sense, you know.
All right, gotcha,
Listen,
gotcha.
no, shout out to Elusive. You know, it's always a ongoing joke. You know, we bust his balls. I mean, I bust his balls about the Doom. Like we always bust each other's balls. But I mean, man, listen, in that community, when I first hopped in the hobby, uh, those two guys are the people that like can't, you know, open their arms up to me. You know, like they took me in under their wing. Like they showed me like, you know, a lot of things. And you know, if it wasn't for Doom Card, I wouldn't have a lot of the big cards that I do have. You know, so you know, shout out to him. Obviously, hey, it's still part of the PC, and will be as long as I have, you know, any Doom related stuff. Is, you know, it's just it's part of the house. The sketches that I have are from Doom Card. You
Okay,
know,
cool.
Elusive dropped a lot of knowledge, man. Like, you know, again, if you guys haven't checked them out, Elusive Collectibles, you know, he has a show called Cards and Coffee as well. And just a lot of good Marvel knowledge, man. There's a lot of good content creators out there that give out good information. Some get better hype than others, but hey, you know, not everyone's for, you know, not we're not everyone's like favorite flavor. You know what I mean? Of podcast of people, but hey, you know, like we do our thing. You know, like we try to give good info out there, and just to try to have fun with the hobby, man. Like the hobby's fun if you find like the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of good content creators out there that are giving out like the good juju, and you just got to find it, man. You know,
There you go.
they're out there.
If you weren't going to collect Doctor Doom, what was the character that you had in mind? Like, everyone makes this decision at some point that they're going to go after a character, but I've never met anyone that didn't have a couple other ones in mind. Like, for myself, I had two characters. I was like, I might go after these, but then I settled on Sabretooth. Who were yours?
Yeah. So I'll be honest. You know, like I'll tell you that you know, when I started collecting some of like after the cards into the comics, right? Like obviously collecting English and then going into like the internationals, right? And that's kind of been like where I'm stuck at right now with collecting. There is going to come a point where I run out of collecting comics because maybe you have all the rainbows now. So what are you doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it the other day because, you know, I was just like looking at some of what I have and I'm like, shit, like I have a good amount of certain things. Like what's the next move other than like grading for my personal PC, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I asked myself that question, like a character. Before that, I didn't really think of like another character to collect. I know characters that I like, but like for example, you know, like if you were to say Venom, like you're collecting Venom, you already know that's going to be like an expensive piece. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
but you know now, like for example, if I were to collect another character, it probably wouldn't be cards unless I really like the card. You know, like I really would have to like the card, and I'm okay with having like, you know, again, like 3, maybe 6 like nice cards of a certain character that I like, and be okay with that being part of like the collection, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably collect maybe a little bit of black suit, you know,
Okay,
some
cool.
black suit. I think
Yeah.
black suit's cool. Not, you know, not Venom, you know, just black suit. Uh, man, like if I pay, I mean, I have a little bit of Human Torch things, you know, a couple Human Torch things. Uh, I do like Human Torch. Obviously, it's an older character as well. But I couldn't do like another, like, let's say like a master collection, you know, like where you have like try to have
Yeah.
every card and stuff.
That'd be
I
too much.
can't go for that again. Yeah, I can't go for that
So
again.
I find that everybody has a bit of an introduction to Marvel cards as a young person, just because of the era that we all grew up in. We're all a similar age. What was the set from the '90s that solidified your love for Marvel in your mind? What was the set?
So for me, again, it wasn't a set. I didn't collect cards until I got into the hobby.
Okay,
Like my nostalgia is the cartoons and comics.
Joe. What was the
Yeah, man,
first set?
cartoons and comics.
What was when you got into the cards? What was the first product that you were into?
Uh, man, like I would just shout out to Ian, man. Shout out to Ian at Cards and Metal. When I first came in the hobby, he was one of the first people, you know, doing it. Uh, you know, there's a couple people back in the day that were doing box trips on IG Live. Again, that's kind of like where like the little bubble of like, you know, IG, you know, now like the Marvel people out there.
Yeah,
Like in my personal opinion, when you know when I jumped in and I kind of like found out like, you know, what was going on, it was on IG Live, and people were just ripping boxes. You know, 92. You know, 92 mm, 90, the Uncanny X-Men 92, you know.
yeah,
I have, I watched like a Fox Kids rip back in the day, you know what I mean? Like, which is pretty cool, which I'd never seen before,
yeah.
for the animated series. So, you know, Ian with X-Men Metal, Ian with like, you know, some of these other like sets that he would rip. I mean, you know, they've been doing it on IG Live for a while now, and that's where I got into it. For me, again, it was like my older cousin used to collect like a few like X-Men and like Ghost Rider covers, you know, like
Mm.
comics. And you know, like he didn't collect too many, but he had a few, and like that I kind of remember. But obviously, like always been a big fan of the animated series, which I'm excited for X-Men '97. You know,
I
hopefully they
wanted to
don't.
ask.
What's that?
I wanted to ask you about the X-Men '97 coming out. I think that, like you said, getting into the Marvel world as a younger person, it was the cartoon that got you into it. I love the
Yeah,
cartoon. Still, as an adult, I find myself on Saturdays watching the X-Men.
going on.
I can't wait to see this. I hope the voices are the same. I hope the Sabretooth voice is the same. What are your hopes for X-Men '97 as it comes out here in March?
Um, you want like the final, like the end, or you
Yeah,
want
no,
like
no, not
the
the ending, not the ending, but what are you like? Sometimes a reboot is done horribly. Sometimes a reboot is like it just doesn't work. So what would be two key elements of this show that they need to maintain for it to be a success?
here's the problem. You know, like I think people build their expectations, right? Like, and they expect a certain thing.
True.
Here's the issue. Watch as much as you love that old X-Men, like from like back in the day, it's not great. You know what I mean?
No,
It's cheesy. Like it's what it's supposed to be, right? Like when you open a comic, it's cheesy, man. Like that's just like what it is. Like I think people like, you know, take it too much to heart, and it's like, you know, at the end of the day, they're rebooting something that, like, you know, what was great back then, but it's because you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like this reboot now is for like the new wave, the new generation of, like, you know, younger crowd. Like we just talked about, hey, how do we get these other generations, like, you know, into this thing? Like
yeah,
hopefully, you know, we find a couple, you know, 20-year-olds that are watching X-Men '97. Maybe now go rewatch X-Men '94, and guess what? They're still gonna say the same thing. Damn, that shit's horrible. You know, I love X-Men '97, but that shit sucks, and it doesn't suck, you know. And that's just like the gap, you know. Like it's just like I hope that it has its cheesy moments, you know, like I hope that like they don't throw like keep it a cartoon.
Yeah.
Don't throw agendas at me. Like don't do, you know, just don't get weird with me. Like just give me a cartoon that's like, you know, characters that I love with like, you know, funny storylines or like, you know, interesting storylines, a little bit of build up and stuff like that, you know. What
So
I hope
that's
it and
that's kind of what I was getting at about like I agree with I really like how you put all that. I hope that that there isn't a different agenda, because I think the storyline of X-Men is kind of perfect. I love that you said it's kind of cheesy because it's a cartoon, and you're totally right. But for me, the story just resonates so much. So much of what I know about the X-Men world, the Marvel world, is from the cartoon. So I'm hoping that they don't take some liberties and make some drastic storyline changes. You know.
I will say this, and you know, I'm a little bit upset at Disney because of you know, a couple comments that have been like public and how they choose like their people, you know, like the people that they choose to like write and like, you know, do all these things. But it's like, dude, how can you not like? Why wouldn't your first choice be to hire someone that is already into the comics? Because there's so many good storylines. There's so many good like, you know, even like, you know, offside like storylines
Yeah.
that you can make this animated show kind of like about like almost like to say like, hey, let's animate some of the comics,
Mhm.
like the Wolverine when he's in Japan, right? Like that whole series. Can you imagine that animated?
Be pretty
Like
cool.
and right, like guess what? Don't make it look modern, right? I don't want modern anime. I want like the retro feel
Yeah.
with like, you know, like a current story, you know, like let's go a little bit ahead in time and not be stuck back in like, you know, 97. Let's get X-Men into like the current time. What
I
I
like.
hope the show ends with, right? What I'm hoping for is that maybe they break a fourth wall, you know, like maybe they break like the you know, kind of like the Deadpool, you know,
Yeah.
connection. Maybe there's something that like, you know, when the show ends, it kind of introduces like the new team or something, you know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, you never know.
I think it's a really good point, like you were saying, managing the expectation of it. I think I might have gotten a little bit ahead of myself, being like, it's going to be exactly the same. You know, I think
Yeah,
that for myself, I need to manage that expectation. I'm glad we're having this conversation because, you know, I love the Spider-Man. I love the, like, I think the 94 Spider-Man. I love that cartoon so much. And there were so many other Spider-Mans that came out that you got a chance to see, oh, they're going to be different, right? You got a chance to
yeah,
see how different they were going to be. X-Men, there's just been X-Men. I have nothing. I have
yeah,
no other comparison to bring it to.
yeah.
So
I will
I,
say, man, I was upset that you know, I was upset at MegaCon because when I looked through like the character list, you know,
yeah.
I never saw the names of the voices. So I came prepared, but like not prepared for that. And I was like, really, man? Like, you know, like they weren't here last year. Like I missed out on opportunities. So hey, mental note next year, like, you know, bring a couple more X-Men cards. You know, listen, I love the X-Men. Like we're talking about like maybe PC too, like someone that I think is super underrated, right? And I think that everyone bashes and they make fun of whatever. Dude, shout out to Cyclops, you know? Cyclops is a sick
Oh,
character.
100%.
Uh you know, I love comb over Cyclops, and I also love like over the head Cyclops, old school. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, he's a leader of the X-Men. Like, you know, obviously everyone loves Wolverine. You know, I understand, but you know, Cyclops is the OG, man.
absolutely.
Uh, I just don't think he gets as much love as he should. You know.
I love that. I love that there are so many characters to choose from in the X-Men that everybody can kind of pick who they like. In Marvel Allegiance that came out, I didn't have a Sabretooth card to collect, so I ended up rainbowing Cyclops out of it, and it was a really fun chase.
Really?
He's a really good character to do it with.
Oh man, that's sick. Yeah, they didn't have a Sabretooth. I mean, I feel like Sabretooth should be a pretty staple. You know, like if you give me a Wolverine card, you might as well give me a Sabretooth card too. You know.
You know, I agree with you, but every time they keep it out of a set, I'm always grateful because it's one less thing I have to collect. I've worked
Yeah.
pretty hard at having a pretty complete collection of Sabretooth stuff. And when he doesn't appear, totally okay with that at times, you know?
Oh, that's crazy. Let me ask you a question. Do you collect comics at all, like Sabretooth comics, or comics
I,
are just not in the picture?
I have the original. I have the first appearance of Sabretooth as a comic. I've thought a lot about collecting comics. I have comics that I've had since I was a kid, and I got them to read on the bus. I took public transit every single day, and I would love reading comics I had kicking around, and a lot of them are beat up from being in my book bag. But I love comics and I enjoy collecting them, but I haven't character collected any of them. I have maybe a thought in my mind that when my Sabretooth collection gets closer to being complete with the cards, that I might jump into comics. But that's a pretty big rabbit hole, and I feel like it's a pretty big rabbit hole. I'm very hesitant to jump into comics.
Mm. Yeah, listen, if you get the wrong cover, you'll never let it go. You know what I mean? Like if you like if I were to drop like a Sabretooth book on you that's like super sick, that like something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, you might be like, dude, like, what is this? And yeah, like, listen, rabbit holes are good. eBay rabbit holes are good.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the rabbit holes, and that's how I fell into my personal rabbit hole. But yeah, man, like comics are fun, man. Because we were talking about that too. Like what do you do after like you finish something? Like what
True.
like there's a while or like what if you just come to like a conclusion, like, you know what, like I'm done here. Like maybe like tomorrow you decide, like, you know what, I don't want to collect like Sabretooth cards anymore, and you do something else. Like they I think that something else is interesting, because for me it's like a new thing.
Yeah.
The comic transition for me from comics to card was easy when I started like heavily collecting more comics than cards. But again, like, I asked myself that question the other day, man. Like, what am I gonna do after like the Doom stuff? Like, I mean,
Right.
it's not about like it's not like it's gonna be for sale, but it's just like, what do I do with it now? Like,
Yeah.
put it away. You know what I mean? Like once you're done with it, like when you pick up like the monster books, like the grails of grails, right? Like the ends, and like you pick up rainbows of certain things, whatever, and you finish. Like what's left? Like what do you do? You know?
Yeah. Oh, it's a good question to ask yourself before it happens. I think it's good to, as you start nearing what you would consider completion, it is good to start thinking like, I think that that's the time to be curating your collection. Once your collection is established, that you have the volume, curating it in a way. I think that there's endless ways to curate a complete collection, and I think that's half of the fun, personally.
Yeah, man. Like the curation part, like I said, like just showing it off. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I want to see it, man. We talked about it like before the show as well. Like you go back like maybe 2 years, and we were asking ourselves like, yo, where are these other collectors at? Like we know that they're out there. We know that they exist. We know that there's people collecting like other stuff out there, because if there wasn't, they were like all the cards would be out there, right? We know where these
Yeah.
people are, but who are they? And like I feel like the past like 2 years definitely has been like a drastic change in like the IG community,
Mm.
where you know you guys are coming out the woodwork now, man. Like not now, now everyone's, interestingly enough, not everyone's a character collector, right? Now that's like the wave where like everyone chooses kind of like one person, and like I recently saw like a new page for like a what was it, like a angel, like a archangel collector.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I didn't give it a follow because he doesn't have anything like posted, but like I saw it pop up, so it's like again, some of these more obscure characters, like I think it's cool because maybe there's someone out there that has like a very complete like angel collection, and like, dude, I want to see it. You know?
You should follow. You should follow the Angel Collector. He's posted stuff recently. That guy's really going for it. He's got a lot of really cool stuff. I hear what you're saying. There's lots of people who have been coming in, and whether they've been collecting that character or they've chosen to recently, I think that Fausto's put out some great material about how to collect characters, and I think a lot of people have taken that to heart and decided to go after it. I like watching the journey. I would love to see your complete collection get posted, but I also love getting to watch you start out doing it. Like if you're
Yeah.
building a collection and you've got 10 cards, put those 10 cards on your Instagram, because it's fun to get to live the excitement with you as you gather more and add them to that collection. I think that's great.
Yeah, man. And I think that I think IG is cool, man. Like obviously, like, hey, like, like for some, IG kind of I was having a conversation with the homie variant section. Shout out to him. Fellow Doom collector, and shout out to Free as well. Like we were talking about like just the algorithm itself, right? Like the other day I was scrolling through like a page, and I saw like a Cat Vaults page, And I open up his page. Obviously, like, I see him online, like, here and there. I go on his page and I'm like, man, like I haven't liked Cap Vaults anything in the past like 9 posts, but guess what? I never see it. I
Yeah.
saw it that night and I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. Like Instagram literally buries the algorithm is burying your content, like,
Right.
and it's crazy because we follow each other, right? We've liked each other's things, but I never see his stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's not that I don't. It's not. You know what I mean? Like again, it's not. It's not about the likes, right? Who cares? But I mean, hey, if I like your stuff and you character collect and like I usually like your stuff. Why doesn't it pop up a little bit more on my feed? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like like your content kind of gets buried in the mix of like things that sometimes you don't like. I don't really even care for.
Right.
So like I'm pretty bad about that checking in on other people's page and like but sometimes you realize that IG's basically like burying all your content.
So I think that's actually an interesting point that you bring up. So in the sense that you're coming across people's pages where you haven't seen any material from them for a while, and then you're getting to go through. I think for people who are posting their collection on Instagram, like you were just saying, don't live by the likes. People will see it once they get
Yeah.
around to it coming to the surface. Like when you go through someone's page and you see a lot of material from them, like personally, I doom scroll through everything that's on there when I start to see a collection that's together. Like if people haven't gone through and liked every single one of them as you post them, don't let that discourage you. The Instagram's a stupid thing anyways.
Oh no. Yeah.
It's great to have it out there for, in a way, a public service so that other character collectors can look at it and come across it on their time.
Yeah.
Like don't let that discourage you. I hope that doesn't discourage anybody out there.
No, man. And listen, that's what it's been for me is that, like I said, I want to see the character collectors out there,
Yeah.
Like shout out to Rye Size, right? Like the Juggernaut collector. Found him like a little bit of back. Dude, that guy is a monster, bro. That
Monster.
guy's fucking Juggernaut collection is that's a monster collection, literally, dude. That's crazy. Like,
We've had Ryan on here twice. Ryan is he is a collector.
yeah. Yeah, man, and it's impressive to see, because it's just like, damn, like this guy had like again, maybe because it's not the biggest, right? But the point is that the hobby's moving in the right way. If you have a guy pop oneing, if he's hitting pop ones on Juggernaut cards, the hobby's moving in the right path. Is there going to be another 10? Sure. We like there has to be the person to be like, you know what? I want the second PSA 10 Juggernaut,
Yeah.
and I think that posting these things out there and again showing, because again, you might have a 20-year-old that is a big fan of like Marvel and he's into like X-Men or something like that, and like he hashtags X-Men because he wants to look at some stuff and find some of our content, right? And he sees like maybe like a Sabretooth card or a Wolverine card or a Cyclops card, and just like be like, hey, that's fucking cool. Open up his page and it might be oh shit, like this guy has like a whole thing,
Yeah.
and that could be the introduction too. But again, if we hide our collections and we put the things away and we don't show them, then we're not exposing the world to what's out there and letting people know like, hey, this stuff exists, So
I completely agree, and I also I want to be as supportive as possible to people posting their stuff, because when I posted my Sabretooth collection, I got a great response from people where people reached out with cards that they had. People have helped me out a lot with building my own collection. So I think there's a real benefit to putting yourself out there and being in the community. I know that can be a bit of a barrier for people at first. I'd like to, as well as Sergio, encourage you to break that barrier and go public with it. It's so much fun. It's a great time.
it's fun, man. And I think maybe some people too like feel like maybe they don't have like the editing skills and stuff like that. Dude, who cares? You know what I mean? Like just post it out there. Like
Yes.
even when you mention like, hey, like I have like a book that's probably like beat up, whatever. Listen, I got books that are beat up too, and guess what? I love some of those books just as much as some of the books that aren't beat up. Like I actually sometimes like you have like a super like beaten up book and it's written on and stuff like that. Sometimes I like it a little more. It has a little bit of like a character, right? Like
Patina. It's
this
got some
belong
patina to it.
this belonged to someone, like this was someone's like thing that they had for however amount of time before it got to me. Like I think that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think that it goes the same thing with the car stuff too. Is like everybody with the car stuff, I feel like it's always about high grade this, high grade that, and I get it, but I don't think it's so much like a thing. Like like what, like a fun thing would be like if you found that guy that like buys like PSA threes, like you over here spending like $100 on like fucking PSA 10. You know what I mean?
Pop one
This guy,
PSA 3 card. Yeah.
yeah, pop one PSA threes, dude. That's maybe that's what I'll do next. I'm gonna go hunt down like whatever PSA three pop ones and go like hunt them down. Start picking them up.
Yeah.
Uh, but like with cards and stuff, it's the same thing. Like I feel like the cards, they don't have the same respect like that with the patina, right? Like people don't want the patina on the cards, but I think it's cool. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. You and me had touched on the fact that there's more content being made within this hobby, and depending on what you're into, you can find something for each person. Like there's a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of overlap, but there's a lot of like niche things. Like I think that we talked about grading being very prominent in the hobby right now, but there's a lot of people that are doing things that have nothing to do with that. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. If that's for you, that's what you should be finding.
yeah, 100%. Like shit. I encourage people, man. Like, listen, pick up a couple raws that are cheap. Pick up a couple of dollar raws. Like, who cares if it's beat up? Who cares if it's off center? Just put it in your hand. You know what I mean? Like, it's like once you have like a couple Marvel cards in hand, you know what I mean? If you have the itch, like it's cool, man.
It is really
And it doesn't have to be a PSA 10, and you figure out what you want in your hobby, and you narrow down like how you're going to collect. Like,
yeah.
again, I don't have much intent to ever grade a lot of the cards that I have unless it's a big card, and it's simply for like it's just like the comics. Like I mentioned to you, I'm like, hey, like when I graded this book, I didn't even look up if it was pop one or anything. I didn't even care, right? Like I just graded it. And hey, lo and behold, it's a pop one. It's never been graded before. Hey, that's cool. But with like, but before that, if it wasn't for the fact of like, I just want to protect my thing, right? And obviously adding the autos is a cool thing, but I could have left it raw too, right?
Right.
I just want to protect it. And I
No,
know that you could be like, hey, just get like a like a Mylar. Nah, I want to like encase it, because
I get that.
like, yeah, like maybe I could have just bought like an extra case and like like put a little screw down case or something on something different. But to get the signature and get it autoed, like again, like maybe it doesn't make sense to some collectors because I'm like, hey, well, why is he yellow labeling it if he's not going to sell it? Maybe he's just going to PC it. But it's like to me, it's just like the certification signed on this day, blah blah blah. Like for me, that's like a thing, So
I love that.
I
That's
don't have
part of
any intent of selling anything, but I will say, if it wasn't for that fact, that's why sometimes I may pick up like another raw copy if I can find one to have a raw too, because I want to open it. Like uh, when it comes to comics, like I know everyone wants like the high grades and the 9.9s, but like these things were meant to be read. Like and when you open them up and you crack them open and you read them again, to me it just builds a little bit of character. I feel like cards are like to me it's a very cold like thing, right? Like, oh, it's not a gem like 10, like dude, I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care.
I love.
Numbered card, whatever, like, who cares, bro? Like it's cool, right? But really, in reality, who cares? I want to touch it. I want to open it. I want to read it. Like I want to smell it. Like,
Collecting your own way.
with cards, you don't do that.
You know what? For sure, it's a really good point to make sure that you're collecting in a way that works for you. I think that if you find yourself doing a little bit of research, you're going to find people in the hobby that are collecting in a way that you respect and that you want to do as well. So, if you're coming across stuff and you're like, I don't think that's for me, I can guarantee you, if you dig far enough, you're going to find the right group for you. You're going to find someone doing what you want to do. Sergio, let's wrap it up here and talk about what's going on next for you. What do you want the people to know about you?
Man, just stay in tune with the NSDC. We're probably going to have a mail call here pretty soon. I have a couple packages to say the least that I want to show. But I'm only going to show like two or three. Like I'm going to show like two or three selective ones, and but we'll do a little bit of episode, a little mail call. And as far as for me, man, I'm just going to keep trying to get these pop ones, man. Now that's part of the mission, part of the goal, and that's my duty for now, my doom duty. Other than that, just check out the IG. Give a couple likes, man. Scroll down, check out what's in there. Open the photos, man. Because the photo description, like some of those posts have some good descriptions, some don't. I recently started sharing a little bit more, because I want to be more for the community, but just check out the page, check it out, man. And listen, don't start collecting Dr. Doom. Like, go collect your own thing. Like, be like Sabretooth, be like some of these other guys, the Archangel collector. Be like Right Size, and go find your own character, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Sergio, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate you. In the description down below, guys, we're going to have a bunch of stuff where you can find their podcast, where you can check out some Instagrams. Keep on collecting your way. Thank you so much for joining. And we're wrapping up season 1 here quick. So we'll chat soon.
Thank you, man.